you feeling today? I know you had a little force that invaded you with the mosquitoes.
Oh.
Or
Oh, the gnats. Yeah, let me tell everybody about the gnats. So if they see me waving,
yeah.
Last night I came off of the middle balcony and I closed the door.
Yeah.
And I pushed it in and thought I locked it.
Wow.
But it wasn't locked, but it was closed in. So I go and sleep, knocked out, and I know in the middle of the night I heard boom. It was a little windy.
Right.
Yeah, like I said, have to be several layers of hopping, going through bars on the windows. I said, ain't nobody coming in here, and then they're gonna have to deal with me.
Right. Yeah.
So I woke up and there were these bugs around me. It wasn't too many, it was just little gnats. I'm like, where these gnats come from?
Those are the worst kind.
We got screens on the window and everything. So I walk downstairs to the middle floor and I feel a breeze, more so than ever.
Yeah.
So I went to the living room in the front because all my steps are in the back. Everything's cool. I turn around and look at the laundry room door. It's wide open.
Wow.
It was wide open all night long.
All night?
Yeah.
Wow. That's crazy.
And that's where those gnats came in.
Yeah.
So I burned some stuff and tried to get them out of here, but there's still some in here because there's so many places in here for them to be. So every now and then you might see me try to do something.
Yeah.
But that's nature.
Okay.
That's nature. That's funny.
Well, as always, brother, it's good when Monday rolls around to see you and greet everybody, the family, everybody under the sound of my voice. Time is going by so fast now, and a lot of different things going on. And one of the things that is important, like we always talk about, is that we have to give a balance to a lot of the uploads that are being put out to keep our people in this emotional state where we can't focus on the things that keep us grounded. And when we get into the topic today, we're going to see this clearly, and we're going to look at some of the historical records, but also we're going to look at why is this important to us right now, and why it's important for us to examine this and to look at ourselves in our true light, Christianity before Christ, who we were prior to this whole Greco-Roman religion that was established. Really, it's a political religion, but we'll get into that. But as always, brother, we want to hear your thoughts on the concept of the banner, great banner.
The title of this show made the banner simple to make. I wanted to do more to it, but it would have taken away from the punch of it being simple.
Okay. Well, right away, that black spirituality.
I'm going to remove this thing. Black spirituality is the root of the tree. Religion is just a branch. That is so self-explanatory.
Yes,
I want to show the roots, which you can see it behind the letters, and the strong trunk, right? And all these branches that are the different religions, but it's really a watered down version of what comes up from the root. But because roots are roots, we don't see the root. We see the tree most of the time and the branches. See, so we never really acknowledge the strong roots that go so far deeper into the ground. We don't really acknowledge the black spirituality that precedes religion that most people fight over, but they're forgetting the base from which it's derived from in a watered down way and oftentimes tampered with, which the root you can't play around with. You can pull off a leaf, you can pull off a branch, but you'd have to cut down the whole tree to damage the trunk, and you'd have to go underground to damage the roots. So
you know something that's interesting about that, Lance? Even if you cut the trunk off, the roots are still connected there where there can be a rebirth, and that's where our people got this concept from.
Exactly.
Say that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And it happens
all the time.
We've had to chop certain trees down here, not big trees, but certain ones, and we're going to move things around and replant certain things. And you look around, and there's little small saplings, little tiny branches growing up again.
Yes. Yes.
Which shows you that religion can't really ground you. It can only lead you if you have sense to go back into the original. If you have sense. And there was something that I heard a long time ago from the minister Farrakhan, and he said, religion is like a crutch when you have a broken leg. You use the crutch until you can walk strong on your leg again, and then you throw the crutch down. So in that context, we have different cultures, different countries. Everybody claims that this is their religion, but if their religion really does them proper, it should bring them to a higher understanding where they can see beyond that religion and into the higher level of spirituality. People in the world are walking around leg be healed and they stretch on. So they'll never get anywhere as long as they hold on to that crutch.
That's absolutely true. And to add to that, I heard a story years ago where someone said religion is like somebody crossing a river on a boat, and then when they get on land, they carry the boat on their back with them.
For real. For real. We can take that further.
Oh my God.
It's the truth.
I had the same reaction when I first heard it. I laughed. It was just, but true, you know, and again, one of the things we're going to cover today, I'm just so, I don't want to use the word jealous, but these concepts you come up with, I'm thinking to myself, okay, this brother is coming up with concepts that I should be coming up with.
Well, you see, I'm so happy to see you.
Yeah.
That you stir my mind up.
Right.
See,
okay.
It's almost like, you know, we're going to proceed. I just want to make this point because it just comes off the top of my dome. Say, for example, you're advanced and you're educated and intelligent. You have the same face that people could recognize that know you from the old neighborhood when you were growing up and playing ball and you're a teenager and the girls and maybe a couple of mischievous things, but now you're set as a grown man. Mm-hmm. And you see somebody who is still in that phase that you grew out of. So when you see them, your conversation, after a while, when you realize they haven't grown, you don't get mad at them, but you say, well, this is the way it is. So you reduce your conversation, but you're not going to stay that long. Yeah. Well, brother, when I see you, I'm looking up and your advanced mind brings me higher. So I rise to the occasion of you. You see?
Okay.
I mean, I can shoot the crap all day with people who are still on the corner. And man, remember back in 1982,
right.
You know, but I don't hang around that long, but I don't insult them and say, well, man, you bore me with this stuff. I've grown beyond that.
Right. I really don't want
you can bring it up, but let's see where you are now. So I'm excited to speak to you because you're on such a high vibrational level and it brings out the best in me. Now you're on my side, we're together, but we're not opponents. But to use the analogy where you have a fighter who's fighting a championship, you're fighting a championship level or the champion, and he's great. And I'm just a last minute replacement. Well, I'm going to fight better and harder than I have.
Yeah. Well, like Joe and
later on, not fitting, but we're intellectualizing. So when I speak with on that higher level, Say it again.
Brother, I feel the same way. Like when I connect with your energy, because you know, I meet a lot of different people, just like I'm sure you do out in Accra, but I meet a lot of different people here in the Bay Area, and it's just interesting the different ways in which we look at the world. That's what fascinates me. Even
You're right.
Yesterday, after I finished up and the people I met with and we talked about things, and one of the things I really realized is, man, these people really did a number on us. They actually flipped us all the way around.
Yes.
In the sense that we see ourselves as branches instead of the root and the tree.
That's right.
It's so amazing. So one of the things I saw in the banner, because I always see this, is the rays of the sun in the background. Yeah,
You noticed that. That wasn't by chance.
Yes. You remember the video we did, because in one of my favorite parts where I had the tree behind me and that sun was coming through the tree?
Yeah, I remember that.
That is what the first thing when I saw that, I was like, wow, I've seen this before. And then I thought,
that's right.
Yeah, you've seen it before. Yeah, but I'm so excited about this topic because, again, somehow, and we're going to go through this today. If you want to start out with your Y chromosome visual, brother, we can set it up.
Just uploaded these two.
Okay.
Okay, yeah. I just want to acknowledge the Wolf Master and Sister Queen Diane, who is always here.
Diane, always on point.
Yeah. And her energy, her energy always gives me a boost.
Me too.
Feminine, strong, intelligent, decent.
Yes.
I mean, to feel a person's energy through the chat room and all of that is phenomenal. You know, when you see how a person carries himself, I just want to say how much I appreciate you as a sister and a queen. But here we go.
That is absolutely true. Yes. So this was a banner you made for the show we did about this guy, Albert Perry, who, and one of the reasons I want to set the table with this is because everything we talk about after this, we'll see the concept of the fact that we are the true roots, okay, and the vine and the tree of life. We are the tree of life that people have told you about, some tree of life, okay? Mm-hmm. So the thing is how amazing how they were able to flip this around and make Black spirituality a branch instead of the root in which they got all of their knowledge from. Mm-hmm. And I was talking to a friend about the fact that they killed Dr. George G.M. James for writing that book, Stolen Legacy, because it's so deep that, well, now they can't control the truth because it's gonna come out in some way. You can't suppress the truth at all angles, okay? But the reason I wanted to bring, just like the sister Henrietta Lacks, right? With her cells and what they discovered, there was another lady, I think she was a 105-year-old Black lady, that they said they couldn't understand her cellular structure, her DNA, because it was outside of any known branches, you know, that they're attached to.
Right.
So we know that this Y chromosome of Black males around the world, it was found by scientists here with Mr. Perry in South Carolina. But then, as they always do, when they test our men throughout the diaspora, Africa, Jamaica, Haiti, South America, wherever they are, then they find traces of this. And so what they found was that this was a lineage that was outside any known human branches. Because again, they want to present us as a branch, okay, when we and them as the root, when in actuality we know that that is not true. But once they had to come out, and they held on to this, I think they've had this knowledge for like 47, 48 years. But once this was discovered, then we knew that we were outside the normal branch of human existence. So let's get that straight from the beginning. And no religion can change this. So by default, anything that comes after this, okay, is a result of the reality of you and your spirituality being the primordial seed on the planet. Okay. So the other thing with this too is it reminds me of something I always like to talk about, because this clearly shows, because they know. That's why they like to separate science from religion, in which in African cosmology, our priests were scientists first. And that is because they were in contact with nature. We're going to discuss a lot of that today. But we learned from the Black Dot, Dr. Richard King, that that melanin allows us to operate, or eumelanin, outside the normal synapses of the brain. So all of this, I'm saying to show, before we get into the actual presentation, that Black people and our spirituality is the foundation of all of the branches that came out as, or intellectual thought that came out as a result of this. So there's no argument here. We know that this one, like one of the scientists that participated in this study, he was so astonished. He said, "My God, one Black man is equivalent to has more power genetically to affect the genetic outcome of humanity than all of the men in Europe." Now that is a powerful statement. You remember when I said that last?
Yeah.
That alone. See, and so this is why one Black man to them, like a brother like Lance, is such a major threat, because it affects their whole system. So we've got to get that in our head. You're not a branch. You are the root, and you are the tree from which all other branches of knowledge came out of.
Yes.
Okay, brother. I just wanted to lay that out first. The other picture I want to show is the one with our ancestors in the trees and coming out of the roots. Yes, yeah, you know, this is one of my favorite. We talked about this on the show before. Our people have to realize is one of the reasons why they cut down trees so much is because, see, they learn the thing that keeps them in the position they're in, that they pass down certain secret knowledge, or they call it secret society, to certain ones of them, so that they can maintain this psychological and spiritual ploy they have on our people, or I call it, okay, or whatever you want to call it, witchcraft. I don't know. But they all use this in order to keep you dumbed down. Now, you guys have often heard me say this, and this was revealed to me years ago, and I know this to be a fact, because every time I go around a tree is when I get the memories that I thought were long gone. And I know somebody is whispering in my ear. Okay. But at the end of the day, what you see right here, okay, this is your real source. This is before religion. Now, our people used to, one of the things that they did very effectively is they put you inside of a temple and a church. Okay, and to me, that's equivalent to blocking the sun. Okay. A lot of people may not see it that way. I'm saying in a metaphysical sense that they were able to shut off that power that you connected with, trees, the sun. They were able to shut that off, and they put you inside a building where even when the sun rays came through, they would close the blinds. Or this is why they had these different colored window stained glasses, because the sun can't shine through that.
Right.
So they use all of these different ploys, okay, to block your connection with this great power. And our griots used to teach us under trees like this. So when they first came into Kemet, and we're going to talk about this story. When they first came into Kemet, the Ptolemies, okay, Ptolemies, I'm sorry, they were the ones that became very jealous. These Greek emperors, they became very jealous of African spiritual systems. Okay, and we're going to get into this right now, and we're going to talk about why there's no such thing as a Black Christian. Okay, and one of the other stories I want to use before we get into this is that the story you know as Cain and Abel. Okay, that came out of the story of Set and Osiris, where Set killed his brother. Okay, and this is how they get these stories from, and they plagiarize it. And our people will be talking about the Garden of Eden and Cain and Abel. It's just that our people were explaining how these traits of jealousy and enviousness is all a part of nature. It was a story, like our people, great storytellers. So they ran with this and created Cain and Abel. Okay. So the reason why there's no such thing as a Black Christian. Now let's go back and let's talk about, this is very, very important history. Okay. And religious history. When the Ptolemies first came into Kemet, they were so jealous of the fact that our people worshipped, our higher powers through conceptual and cosmology. And they made it, this was, if you want to use the term religion, this was our religion. It was spirituality. And so they were jealous because they wanted this same type of adoration. Well, of course, this adoration didn't originate from a man, like they have taught our people to worship men and pastors and these different people as quoting scripts to them. This came out of our love and connection with nature. Okay. And so they got so angry because the people refused to worship them in this manner that he said, okay, well, we're going to create a European god, Serapis, that is going to be worshipped more than the gods that you worship, okay, and bow down to. And so this was the first time in history that we saw an actual European god that was taken from the concepts of the Greek god from Mithra. No, that's a Persian god, Mithra, but they also took from Mithra, and they also took from Apis, one of the Egyptian deities. Okay, and they took from Zeus, who is a druid, okay, a druid or Aryan god. And they made this image, which was the precursor to Caesar Borgia. Okay, they made this image that all Egyptians had to bow down to now. They no longer could worship the creative spirit through the pharaohs, because the pharaohs, they led them. This is why they demonized. The first thing they did was demonize Egypt and the pharaohs who are the real worshipers of the Creator, and made you think that they were pagan, for whatever word that is, but that applies to them. So the European god that they created, Serapis, was the first known European image in the world. Okay. And if our people didn't worship this image, they killed them straight up. There was no questions about why you not worshiping or whatever. So our Coptic priests, and by the way, this knowledge that they corrupted was thousands of years older. It existed. If you ever read the Kebla Nagas in Ethiopia, this is why they forbid you, or the earliest known scriptures, the Sinai Bible and the Vatican Bible, they didn't even have the concept of resurrection and virgin birth. So these things were brought into, and we'll get into it when they had the Nicene Council. But this is how they created this first image before Caesar Borgia of Serapis. And when you look at him, they took this god, this Druid god, Zeus or Ezeus or whatever you want to call him, and they put his image for Africans to worship. And this was the first shock to our people. And so the Coptic priests, who are the carriers of the mystery system, they began to go out in the streets like you see people going out, our people, and now you see a lot of Latinos doing, preaching on the corners and doing that. They had our Coptic priests doing that. So this is when they flipped the script. And they did that like they've always done, through violence. Okay, and they held our people because, again, you know, Africans have always been a peaceful, that's our nature, a peaceful people. Okay, but they saw this as a way to actually dominate them, just like wherever they went, like Christopher Columbus, the same thing. If it wasn't for the Taínos, they would have died. But look what they did to them in the Caribbean. So the reason why I say there is no such thing as a black Christian, I'm going to tell you that right now why. So we move forward into history. After the Greeks were defeated by the Romans. Okay. Oh yeah, and one other thing, the Greek emperor, I think it was Philip of Macedonia. He walked around. Now he married an African woman, made a queen, but he's also a homosexual. But he walked around with these horns, and he wanted to be referred to as a moon. See, this is why these people have a God complex that they have always held over our people, that they want to be worshiped. They don't want you to worship the true God of the universe, okay? Right. They want you to worship them. And so, so we fast forward to the Nicene Council in 325 AD, and this is why I say there's no such thing as a black Christian. Because the white nationalists in America are actually right. It is a Greco-Roman religion. It's not for our people. It was beaten into our people here in America.
Right.
It is not, you are not what you call a Christian. Okay, that's a misnomer. There's no such thing as a black Christian. You are a regurgitator of stolen concepts that originated from black spirituality, okay, out of the Nile Valley civilization. So I don't get into all these silly arguments they have with the diaspora and all that. I deal with truth. Okay, so miss me with that childish stuff. We got a bigger problem because we are still passing down. Like I told you, I saw this little 3 or 4 year old kid dancing in a church. Somebody put on YouTube. Now, I don't have anything against our children loving and worshiping, but that's not what our people are doing. We're passing down and regurgitating these lies to our children. So if you call yourself a Christian, then what you're saying is you're denying Black spirituality. Okay, let's be real. I didn't come here to play today. Okay.
Tell it.
Because this is why we are facing something now that our people are at a crossroads, and you're going to have to make a decision. You're not a white nationalist, and they are correct, and I applaud them for going to church and do the things they do. Because this is what happened to our people in Black spirituality. Dr. John Clark can tell this story a lot better than me, but I'm going to try to tell it. So
let me go to the stove real quick.
Okay,
I got this turned up. I can hear it. Just give me 3 minutes.
Yes, sir.
Okay, be right back.
So Arius and the Black Africans, who were the true carriers of Black spirituality, and all of so they had all of these different deities that Constantine recognized. If he was going to consolidate his power, then he is going to have to come up with a state-sanctioned religion. And when you look back at the history, going all the way back, you can go back to the Nazis. You can go back to as early as the Druids. The one thing that they always did is their religion was also political, and it was state-sponsored. Okay. So what happened was when they got to the Nicene Council, they had to eliminate Mithra, Osiris, Krishna, and Zeus, or Serapis. So because you had all these different factions of people like we have today, I don't know how many different denominations of churches we have. And then you have Catholicism. So I don't even know. It's a ridiculous number, like 35,000 or something like that. But they faced the same situation. So Constantine said, look, this is what we're going to do. Okay, we're going to consolidate all of these different concepts from Mithra, the goddess from the Persian god, from Krishna. Okay, and then we're going to take from Egyptian theology, and we're going to, and Roman theology, and we're going to combine all of this into one entity that you know today is Caesar Borgia or Jesus. Okay, so what Constantine did after all of the bishops, this was the first ecclesiastical conference, okay, in history. I mean, I take my word for it. You can go look it up. The Nicene Council. This is when the Romans, through Constantine, decided that they were going to make Christianity the state religion like the white nationalists do today. You are not a Christian. I'm sorry to tell you. I know a lot of people are going to get upset with me, but you are not. And they are correct that it is a European created concept that focuses on the image of a man. That is not your spirituality. Okay? So I know a lot of people are going to get upset with me. I don't care. So
tell it like it is.
Huh?
When I said tell it like it is.
Yes, sir. When the Africans got to the Nicene Council, because Arius didn't go. They didn't want him there anyway. But when the Africans was like, nah, man, this ain't right. We're not down with this. We're not going to worship this. Okay. And then, so what Constantine did said, okay, so everybody that's against this new religion, Christianity, and all of the attributes, because the resurrection story and the death and burial of Jesus were put in years later. Like I said, the earliest known scripts, the Sinai Bible and the Vatican Bible, didn't have any mention of this. Well, not so much the Vatican Bible, but the Sinai Bible didn't have any mention of this at all. Okay. So, what happened was the Africans start raising their hands and saying, no, we don't want to be under this. We've seen this before with Serapis. We don't want to do this. And this really had a serious impact on our people. And as soon as they raised their hands, Constantine had their head cut off. Okay. See, our people don't want to look. They gave our people this meek, humble-looking Caesar Borgia type to cover their criminal history with religion. But this is not. This is why they can take away food from children. Like people be saying, well, how can Christians do that? They are not the spirituality that the souls of Black folks have. I don't know what it's going to take for you to realize this. This is why they can walk down here and see fentanyl on the mission and people laid out and they got billions of dollars and don't care. This is why somebody that's the president of the United States can shut down businesses, shut down farms, hurt people, cause people to lose hundreds of thousands of jobs, and then throw a party. You get the picture now? But yet they tell you this humble-looking Caesar Borgia individual loves you. You have got to be out of your mind. If that's love, I don't want that kind of love. Okay. So again, because our people are, getting all discombobulated with this foolishness, because this happens around. So here's something that can help you look at this in a truthful way. So now the corporations, since our people are woke, really woke, their pineal glands open, and they're saying, nah, we're not spending no money on Christmas. We're gonna shut you down. What they do? I ain't never seen so many Black Santas. You can go to Target, you can go anywhere, bro. They got so many Black Santas. I'm like, is this a gang? What the hell? They are everywhere. Okay, so where these Black Santas been all the time? But what you won't see is you won't see a nativity scene with a Black Jesus. See? They don't go, so from the corporate side and this nonsense about Santa Claus that they raised our people on, they'll give you that when you say you're going to withdraw your fiat. But spiritually, they can never admit, or they will never admit, in a nativity scene with a Black Jesus. And that's why, Lance, if you put that last picture up for me with the popes. Now, this pope, this Madonna and Child is the actual picture from antiquity. And this was taken, thank you. Pope Innocence, actually, they used to, well, this is not Pope Innocence here, but they still go in the Vatican basement and they worship you, the true Madonna and Child, where they took all of this from. Well, part of this our people don't want to look at. Okay, but yet you will never see this. Tell them to put this up where they put the Black Santas at. I bet you they won't. I bet you they won't. But as you can see, they kneel before the truth, because on the one hand, while they're giving you Caesar Borgia and the Virgin Mary and Child, here's the real one they worship that they stole from you and they know is the truth. So this is before Christianity. They just made it into Christianity. They incorporated this into after the Nicene Council. They incorporated this. Okay. Okay, my brother, thank you. But that's that picture was taken by a the story is it was a Latin priest cardinal, who they when he started wanting to connect more with the real truth and the roots, they excommunicated him. But he took this picture without their knowledge. Okay. And wow. That's how the world got that picture. Yeah. Oh yeah. So so let's get back into going back to Lance's banner, where you see yourself as a branch. You don't see yourself as the tree or the root, okay? Because they flip that. You see yourself as a branch. Now, all you got to do is look at genetics to know. And when I say genetics, I'm not just talking about human genetics. I'm talking about the genetics of the planet. Okay, because we did a video on how everything comes out of black, right? So the same way that, now, to be real honest with you, if you look at and you start breaking down the different doctrines in Christianity, it's not even on one of the major branches. It's one of the little branches. The reason why it became such a big religion is because they indoctrinated our people, and because there are more black people on the planet than anybody else, then the energy of that was carried wherever we went. So that's how Christianity became so big, and the fact that they beat it into our people on the plantation. Because you've heard me say this before, Lance, that they never made any distinction between, because when it was time to get baptized, you couldn't even get baptized in the same river as white folks. So they always let you know that their nationalistic religion didn't include you, but our people never want to accept that. Now, in fairness to them, and listening to the slave narratives, they knew that this, what they call the living fire, that later our people were taught was some Holy Ghost. But when you listen to the spirituality of our ancestors back during slavery, they used the term living fire. They never used that term Holy Ghost. That was brought in later because the Europeans wanted, again, they wanted to get that fire concept out of you, because when you start looking at it as fire instead of a ghost, then it connects you to real nature. Okay. So these things may seem simple because of the way they teach our people, but this is your spirituality that was taken from you and corrupted. And like I said, it's a derivative. Christianity is a derivative of several major concepts out of antiquity. Okay, and so, and to add credence to this, now think about this: the Gospels, that you say are the Word of God, the inherent Word of God, were written in the mid-4th century. That's 300 years after the individual you call Jesus was said to have lived. Now imagine 300 years later, somebody writing as if they have firsthand knowledge, because they didn't live in the 1st century. Okay. There are no known manuscripts. Now think about a person who actually time was divided up for them, who did all of these phenomenons, but yet there's nothing written about him from the 1st and even the 2nd century people just 100 years later. There's somebody that walked on water and did all these things.
Right.
There are no, so the only thing that they talk about is Flavius Josephus, who was compromised by the Flavius dynasty and by the Romans, because they were threatening to kill him, and they killed all the generals like him prior to him. So he was trying to save face. So he was born after Jesus was born, supposedly. So whatever he's writing, there are only a couple of manuscripts that they found that they said he mentioned Jesus. He could have been talking about anybody. Okay, and these are the games they play. But imagine 300 years later, in the 4th century, is when the Gospels were written. Now, how accurate do you think that is? I don't think that's very accurate. Okay, and as like I said, there are no known records. Okay, in the 1st century, no historical documents that mention somebody that had this type of effect on the world. But it goes back. It goes to show you how the power of what's a good term we can use for this? The power of passing down a lie and knowing that this lie is essential to your perceived supremacy, intellectually and all other kinds of ways. And if you don't perpetuate this 2,000-year-old lie, then the people that you have deceived and stolen these lies from, God forbid if they ever became woke, that's their biggest fear. See, the psychology they use on our people is they demonize the words that have the greatest meaning to our people. We should be celebrating woke like they do when they're in there clapping.
Exactly.
We should embrace everything that they say and demonize. We should embrace. Okay. So let's talk about these concepts that they got that came out of African spiritual traditions, and what the concepts actually were prior to their creation of Serapis. So in African spiritual traditions, the roots, and I found this too here on Turtle Island with the Shaka in the Mississippi Valley and in the Louisiana, in the Delta, in the Bayou. These same concepts, but the thing is the words that we use today have no connection to the words that they use for these same concepts. That's where we get twisted. And then because other people are very good at writing narratives, we get lost. So, but our people originally looked at roots from a spiritual sense and African cosmology, that it was associated with ancestral wisdom. See, and we looked at wisdom. That's why you don't see so much wisdom being valued amongst our people now, because this is a strength. So you may have, so they get angry or jealous or envious of people like yourself who carry this wisdom, and others, people in the family, what have you. Our people get angry because they're not rewarded by the mainstream system when we put value in our Black spiritual roots. You're not rewarded for that. You're rewarded, the people who have the most likes or have the biggest audiences, I guarantee you the one thing that they have in common is the demonization of Black spirituality and the demonization of Black culture. Even with the model minorities, the one thing they have in common is the anti-Blackness that they've learned from this anti-Black bigoted God of the white nationalists, the Romans, okay, Serapis, okay. And remember, this European Zeus-looking figure that was the precursor of Caesar Borgia, or Jesus as you call him, this is the image. If you look at any painting they have of some god in the sky, you're going to see this Zeus-looking figure. Serapis, right? So see how people don't connect the dots. This is where this comes from. If I turned on Daryl's dad something about the 10 Commandments the other day, because they recreate these lies, trust and believe. And they had this Zeus-looking person looking like Moses. And I said, now Moses is really Musa. Okay, and African people know this. But Musa is that title that they changed, plagiarized for Moses. Okay. But yeah, so our spirituality was based on wisdom, or the souls of Black folks. Okay. And the spiritual roots dealt more with your origin, your ancestry, and your personal and collective stories. And this is why, again, they have the diaspora fighting Because if you could ever have a metamorphosis out of that, they know it's over for them. And so, like,
right.
I always like to quote one of my teachers, Dr. Amos Wilson, where he said, in order for 7% of the people in the world to rule over the other 93%, by default, at least 40% of the people from the colonized class have to be, Franz Fanon explained this, have to be a system. And we see that today. Some of the guys, the raccoons, emails that I listen to, man, they got down. They got this Roman theology and this white nationalism better than they do. And so they applaud these people who say, that's why, thank you, Creatrix. I thought that's why they want you to worship someone like a CK, even though they degraded our people to the lowest rung of society, not knowing that the only reason that you have any knowledge today, whatever that may be, is from our roots, just branch. But they're indoctrinating young white people with this hatred. And I had a long conversation with a couple of young Latino students yesterday evening that I deal with. They're trying to find out the truth, you know what I mean? And one of the young girls, she's Puerto Rican. She's originally from the East Coast, Lance, and she was telling me how confusing it was for her when she first moved here. Mm-hmm. And I was telling her I had the same experience. I told you this, Lance. I'm thinking that the Latino people here was like, you know, the ones on the East Coast, so all of us live around each other and experience different.
No, it's different.
So yeah, issues from cultural issues. Man, I got a culture shock. The Mexicans out here totally different. They hate black folks. Okay, and it took me a minute to get used to that. And not all of them, but their culture is not anti-black. Now, in fairness to them, my familia, who's from El Salvador, are totally different. Okay, they are more cultural in the sense that they connect more with like East Coast Latino people. The other thing too that was a shock to me was the Asian people here. They're not as friendly as the ones on the East Coast, but they are more seclusive. Like they don't interact with culture really other than their own. The younger ones are a little different. But what's interesting is, and you've heard me say this before, the two highest socioeconomic classes of people in America are non-Christian. They're Asian and they're East Indian. Okay, they're non-Christian. But yet, the two that are the highest participants in the cult of Serapis, origins of it, are Black and Latino, right? We have more churches than any other people. Okay, so this cannot be disputed, but we are at the lowest socioeconomic level of any of the cultures in America. Okay.
Wow.
So yeah, that's something to think about. So I don't know. You know, the way I see it is that there is something else that's getting ready to happen that's going to completely separate the chains, the spiritual chains from our people. I don't know what it is. I just feel it strongly. That other than them coming out and basically telling you that you're not a Christian, I don't know what it's going to be, but it's going to be something traumatic. Where our people are going to say, okay, that's the last straw.
Last straw.
Okay, we ain't backing that no more. You ain't getting no more of our tithes and offerings, and I don't care if you crash and burn. Couple other things Our Black spirituality was in antiquity was connected to the sacred. Okay, this is why, again, the Mayan laws: truth, justice, righteousness, balance, the redemptive spirit. And I think back 40,000 years ago, in East Africa, in Somalia, the religion, it wasn't a religion, it was a concept, but we'll call it a religion for clarity. Ebewak, where our people have always had this concept of redemption. So that Wak was the supreme being, where you had, and it was also where they also got this concept of the trilogy, and they got it from Osiris, Asar, Aset, and Heru as well. But they got this concept because our people actually, everything that we did centered around the number 3. Okay. And so they studied us and they learned that these spiritual concepts were rooted in our worship of things. And so this aspect of the trilogy, the redemptive aspect, was, I can't remember the god's name, but it was part of the trilogy. And then there was one for balance and harmony. So these concepts have always originated with our people. It was a bridge between visible life and hidden spiritual forces. So what they did was give an example, like the Yoruba religion, and when you look at the god Oshun in our spiritual ancestry, the god of fertility, of beauty, these type, we embodied the things of the spirit that made life flourish. Now all you see is everybody's saying something about who failed or somebody is going out. Because the one thing you'll notice that they have to always do is the 5 Black celebrities who died from overdose or who died from it. It's always something drastic and degrading that they're putting out about our people, because they don't want you to connect to your higher consciousness. They want you to stay connected to the caterpillar consciousness. Also, we know that there is growth from darkness. This was a part of our Black spirituality, the idea that life often begins in unseen, humble places. We just did a video about that, light coming out of darkness. And finally, the roots of interconnectedness, or the law of divine oneness, cosmic consciousness. Okay, the roots of different trees, they intertwine much like the destinies of humans. And one of the things about, if you have trees in a forest, at the root level, they're all connected. You might see the individual trees and the branches, but when you go down to the foundation, and when you go back down to spirituality, then you see this Black root that lives inside of all of us. And I think I'll end the show on that today, brother.
Yes, brother. Always a pleasure and honor. Thank you so much.
Yes, sir.
Wow.
Yes, sir.
Yes, indeed.
We got
it went too fast, man.
I looked at my watch and it's 1 o'clock. I'm like, okay, it didn't seem like an hour. But, the energy of it was good, in the sense that, they keep trying to put our people underneath these Serapian people. Like, we don't have to worship you. We don't have to worship your clothes. We don't have to worship your cars. We don't have to worship anything that you have that you say makes us have more value. No, that is not Black spirituality. And I want to say this again, because I know, and I'm saying it because I want our people to be angry over this. You're not a Black Christian. That's a misnomer. Because you're not Roman. You don't have Roman ancestry. And you're not from Greek, okay?
Right.
even though there are Black Greeks, but with the Greeks we talking about, the Ptolemies, I always get that name messed up. Alexander and Philip of Macedonia, these people, Vespasian. Go back and read that history. Mm-hmm. This is not your history. This is a history that was beaten into you. And I don't care if you get mad at me or not. Our people have got to walk away from this because they're going to use this to destroy our children, brother. Yeah. They're already doing it. It's a real battle with them when we're talking about them. And, you know, they got people talking about, if you don't believe in Jesus, then you going to hell. No, Black folks have always lived in hell here. If anything, the heaven we going to, you ain't going to. That is a fact. I know that as a fact. Okay, you want to talk about heaven and hell. Okay, you're the fallen angels. All this stuff that they tell us about, that's them. Their own history tells that story.
The planetary virus.
A planetary virus. Oh man, I like that one, bro. All right, brother Lance, well, I better get out of here. Love to you and your family, man. Y'all keep going strong. And,
yes.
Yeah.
I'm going to work on some things tonight before I go to sleep, and we're just going to keep on boom, boom, boom.
Oh, yeah. You got to hold on to the belts.
There you go. Thank you, brother.
I don't know. Yeah, thank you, man. I don't know if you're going back down to your weight class, but you still holding on to all the belts.
There you go. Keep it swinging. All right. Much love.
Much love.
Thank you, brother. Always appreciated. And thank you, everyone, for coming on out. Once again, it's the fastest hour of the week because it's so good. And I'm going to get to working on some things tonight. Hopefully I can get it up there tonight, you know, because I'm so many hours ahead of the States. East Coast, I'm 5 hours ahead of the East Coast. And I guess you add on 3 hours the West Coast, I'm 8 hours ahead of the West Coast. So for me right now, it's 9:03. So it's 1:03 on the West Coast, I believe, and 4:03 on the East Coast. So thanks for being understanding sometimes, you know, when I get those times I not fall asleep, but I'll just get up early and do something, and it kind of goes off into the next day. But the main thing is to keep my hands swinging. You know, I got a lot on my head to do and things I want to do, and the enthusiasm, which is wonderful, because it keeps the life force flowing. Always keeps something ahead of me. And I don't forget, when you ask me to do something, I'll do it. Just like Sister Karina said, she wanted me to do something on the toxic workplace. I'm going to do that. I got some other things ahead of that, but that will come within a day or two. And I meditate on that, and it gives me something to focus on when I go out and I'm looking at the world and seeing things and thinking thoughts and going back into my own history, my own memories of life, you know? So, and Kay Levy, welcome on in, even though we're ending up right now. But it's all good. I love the energy here, and thank you all for being here. Thank you, Sister Queen Diane, once again, and everybody else who came on in, and everybody else who will see this after the fact. And I sign off, but I'm getting right to work, so it's not like I don't have something else coming. Let me let's hope that I get it up in time before the sleep comes to get me, because it is very tranquil out here. But that's what makes everything better, you know? So anyway, much love to you all, and take care. And I will see you on the next one, which should be very, very soon. Peace.